Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to cover the ins and outs of the Roth IRA, which is considered by many one of the best investment accounts to have. Now, what is a Roth IRA? A Roth IRA is simply a retirement account that offers valuable tax benefits. It allows you to grow your money over time tax-free, as long as that money is kept in your account. Now, the annual contribution is set by the IRS on a yearly basis, and this can change over time. Currently, the annual contribution is $6,000, but if you're over the age of 50, you can contribute an extra $1,000, which is a total of $7,000 per calendar year. Now, this money does not need to be put in at one time. It can be, throughout the year, but you have an entire calendar year to put in the maximum amount, which is currently, as I said, $6,000 for those that are under the age of 50 and $7,000 if you're over the age of 50. Now, a Roth IRA, unlike an individual account, you don't have the option to trade on margin. A Roth IRA is a cash account. And what is different between a cash account and a margin account is in the cash account, you simply are trading with the money you have. So there is no borrowing money from your broker like in margin. In the cash account, when you buy and sell stock or options, you have a settlement period. Now, the settlement period for stocks is the day of the trade plus an additional 2 business days. And for options, it's the day of the trade when you close that position plus an additional business day. So when you buy and sell stocks, the amount you're receiving in profit are unsettled funds. And so when you open a new position with unsettled funds, which however, you can't close that position because it will incur a good faith violation. Now, I'm going to give you an example here of what a cash account example is. So let's assume that, on Tuesday you purchase 1,000 or 100 shares of XYZ. Let's just say you have $1,000 in your account and that's all you have. So you have $1,000 in your Roth IRA, you buy 100 shares of XYZ stock, okay? So later that day you decide to sell your stock and you've got a profit now. So you have $2,000. So now you've doubled your money in one day. You now have $2,000 in your Roth IRA. So again, because it is a cash account, those $2,000 that you now have are considered unsettled funds. However, it is immediately available as buying power, but as I said, they are not settled yet. And the reason that is key is because now, since they allow you to buy with the $2,000, you can then go ahead, say the next day or later that day. In this example, you buy 100 shares of stock ABC on Wednesday. So the next day you decide to use that $2,000 to buy 100 shares. Now, again, when you buy this stock, because they're unsettled, you cannot sell this position or close it out until Thursday. And why Thursday? Because the original position that you're using the unsettled funds for was closed on Tuesday, and you have to give it 2 business days. And in this case, it's stock for that position to settle. And for the funds to settle, it would be on Thursday. So again, you can buy as soon as the money is, you're going to be allowed to purchase stocks or options because, the buying power. But you cannot close the position with unsettled funds. And if you do, it will result in a good faith violation. After about 3 or 4 violations, there could be restrictions in your account, and obviously your account could be suspended as well. It's just something to keep in mind. Now, as far as investments within a Roth IRA, you can trade stocks as usual, options. Now, options, because it is a cash account again, you're trading with your money, and this is not on margin. So because it is simply your money at risk, you need to trade risk-defined strategies. So the options that you're allowed to trade within a Roth IRA are risk-defined, which are long calls, long puts, covered calls, cash-secured puts, protective puts, and caller trades. Now, as far as cryptocurrency goes, cryptocurrency can be traded in some Roth IRAs, but usually those are specialized brokerages such as Capital, Webull, Fidelity, Vanguard. They will not allow you to trade cryptocurrency within a Roth IRA. Much of that has to do with the fact that cryptocurrency is still seen as speculation and not much of an investment. But again, you can find Roth IRAs that allow you to trade cryptocurrency, but those are specialized brokerages such as I mentioned, Capital being one of them. Now, what are some of the benefits of a Roth IRA? Well, as I said, they're tax-free distributions. So once you hit 59.5 and you've held the account for at least 5 years, those are 2 conditions you need to meet, you can take the distributions, which are the profits, including, of course, your earnings, from the Roth IRA without paying any federal taxes or any penalties. Now, the withdrawals of the money are quite simply, it's just that easy. It's a simple process of just withdrawing your earnings. Now, the one of the biggest misconceptions about Roth IRAs is that people believe that once you put the money in, you can't take it out, and that's not true. you can always withdraw the money that you've contributed yourself without incurring any taxes or penalties. And the reason for that is because the money you've already put in, you've already paid taxes on. So since that money's already been taxed, you can take it out if you'd like. So there is no penalty or no tax of that. So let's assume that over 5 years, you've contributed the max amount of money, and it's $6,000 a year. 5 years later, you obviously have $30,000, okay? And out of that $30,000, let's just say you've $10,000. You've made $10,000 in profit. So you got a total of $40,000 in your IRA. That $10,000 you've made in profit has to stay in there. You cannot withdraw that unless you want to pay a capital gains tax and be penalized. But the $30,000 that is originally your money you've contributed, that money can be taken out whenever you want at your choosing, and there's no penalty, no tax. However, you cannot put in that $30,000 again in a lump sum because, again, the limit is $6,000 per year. So that's something to keep in mind. If you do take out $10,000, you can't put $10,000 back in. You literally would have to put in $6,000 and then the next year put in another $4,000 because of the limits that you're allowed $6,000 per year. Now, again, there's one of the other benefits is flexible timing. You can choose when and how you contribute to a Roth IRA, as I mentioned. You can put all $6,000 in at the first calendar day, so January 1st. You can put all $6,000. You could do $1,000 a month for 6 months. You choose how you want. The only limitation is the $6,000 is what you're able to contribute per year. So it doesn't matter how often you contribute, as long as that threshold is met. That is the maximum that you're allowed to put into your Roth IRA per calendar year. And another benefit is there's no wage limit to open as long as you have earned income. Basically, as long as you have a job, that's all that matters. Because if you don't have any earned income, of course, then that money you're putting in there likely is not taxed. So that's one of the reasons that you need to have a job and have earned income in order to open a Roth IRA, because the money you're putting in there has already been taxed. Now, the tax implications. Well, like I said, early withdrawal of earnings is equal to a 10% penalty plus taxes. So anything you take out before the age 59 and a half, you will have to pay taxes. Again, these are only on your earnings, not what you've contributed, your earnings only. So basically your profits. However, if you're over the age of 59 and a half, but you've had the account for less than 5 years, your earnings will be subject to taxes, but you will not have to pay the 10% penalty. So if you're 59 and you've only had the account for 3 years, your earnings, you'll have to pay tax on that. But the 10% penalty, that basically gets waived. You don't have to pay the taxes on that. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, there are some early withdrawal exceptions. So in order to qualify for these exemptions, there are some conditions that need to be met. One is if you're a first-time home buyer. Now, this allows you to withdraw money if you're purchasing a house for the first time, but you're limited to $10,000 of a lifetime maximum is the most you can withdraw if you're purchasing a house for the first time. Another exemption is you're able to withdraw money to pay for qualified education expenses. And these education expenses, there is a list on the IRS's website that tells you exactly what qualifies for a qualified education expense. Another thing is you're able to withdraw money for if you're going to adopt or for if it's related to birth of a child. If you become disabled, you can also withdraw money, or if unfortunately you pass away, but in this case it would be going to your beneficiary if you have one listed. Now, something else is with medical expenses. If you have for unreimbursed medical expenses or health insurance, if you're unemployed, you can also withdraw money. But something to keep in mind is that regardless of the exemption, the distribution is made in substantially equal periodic payments. So you're not going to be receiving your withdrawal in a lump sum. It's going to be periodic payments. Some additional details about the Roth IRAs is that they can be transferred between brokerages and they're subject to fees. So if you have a Roth IRA in, let's just say, Vanguard, and you prefer to trade in Fidelity, you like the platform more, or you're more active and you like some of the funds that they offer, you can transfer your Roth IRA from one platform to the other. But keep in mind, there are transfer fees between brokerages. Some, let's just say you're moving from Vanguard to Fidelity. Since Fidelity is now basically you're doing business with Fidelity, they can choose to waive the fee if there is a fee. If Vanguard says, we're going to charge you a $100 fee if you trade out of us, transfer your IRA out, Fidelity can say, you know what, we'll pay the fee and we'll waive it for you. Or there could be that fee that is basically going to be taken out of your account. Another thing is you can have multiple Roth IRAs, but the total contribution is still going to be $6,000. So if you have a Roth IRA in Vanguard and one in Fidelity, You can have 3,000 in each one. You can have 4,000 and 2,000. Doesn't matter, but it's 6,000 is the maximum contribution. So, if you think that's going to be a loophole of just opening multiple IRAs and putting 6,000 in each one, it doesn't work that way, because of course it goes by your social security number. So another thing is as I said, if you want to transfer it, another way you can also transfer is by doing a rollover. Now, when you do a rollover, you can transfer the Roth IRA and they can send you a check that's payable to you, but you have 60 days to deposit that check into another IRA without taxes or penalties. So it's almost like saying, you know what, we're going to liquidate your positions. Here's the check for the amount you had in this account, but now it's your responsibility to open the account with another brokerage and put that money back into the IRA, because if you don't, you will be taxed and penalized like if you withdrew the money early. And of course, you could do this once within a 12-month period. Now, tax loss harvesting is not something that is done in a retirement account because of the fact that it is already trading tax-free. So, in our individual account, some people like to take losses just to offset taxes at the end of the year. But in this case, in the Roth IRA, that strategy is not appropriate for the simple fact that your earnings and dividends and interest are already tax deferred. So just to recap, what is a Roth IRA? It's simply an account, and most people would assume it's a retirement account. That's the idea. The idea is you want to have money set aside for retirement, and you want to grow it consistently over time and for it to be tax-free. Most people think that you can have a trade actively. It has to be more of passive style of investing, but no, you could be active. You can, day trade, swing trade, trade options, stocks, like I mentioned. So you could take any approach to it. Just know that the intention is for it to grow over time tax-free. Again, if you are at least 59 and a half and you've held the account for at least 5 years, that is exactly how you can withdraw your earnings tax-free. And also, you can withdraw the money you've contributed at any time without taxes or penalties. One of the biggest misconceptions: what you put in personally, you can take out anytime, anytime you wish, and there is no penalties or taxes on that money you've contributed yourself. So guys, I hope you found this video helpful of just the ins and outs and some of the misconceptions of Roth IRAs. I personally have had a Roth IRA for a while, and I think it's a great investment account, something you can, like I said, you could take the passive approach or the active approach. But at the end of the day, the money is tax-free and it's growing in there. And when you do hit 59 and a half or one of the exemptions, you can withdraw money, and you can withdraw your contributions at any time tax-free. So again, I think it's something, especially with a lot of people that are new to investing. Grow your money tax-free. This is the biggest advantage you can possibly gain, and try to, contribute the maximum each year, and it'll add up over time. And by the time you retire and hit that 59 and a half threshold, you'll have a pretty good amount in your account. So guys, hope you all found this video helpful. If you do comment any questions you may have, hit the subscribe button, the like button. I will catch you on the next one.